Okay, ladies and gentlemen, this is a video that I'm doing on the subject of cross ventilation and fish tanks. You can't cross ventilate a fish tank. You can't move air into a fish tank and out of a fish tank. Now, what's wrong with this statement? Marine aquarists, freshwater aquarists have been doing this for probably 100 years. And there are ways to do that. You can have a little fan blowing air, just pulling air out, or a tube from an aquarium, like a little pump. If you have an acrylic tank, put a stone in, make a little hole, stick a little diffuser stone through the hole, stick a tube on the other end, some sort of fitting, and run air in. Use the lowest setting. Okay? If you move air in, air will come out. See, to achieve cross ventilation, the amount of exchange is infinitesimally small. It's imperceptible. It's not even enough to move a speck of dust or human hair. It's not, if you have your holes drilled in your Hobby Lobby thing, 4 on each side and some, at the top or whatever. That's great for you probably, or 4-8, you've achieved plenty of cross ventilation. I mean, looking at the spider through this glass isn't interesting, but you just have to make sure that the air isn't stagnant and still. The best way to do this, and I've did quite a few experiments, is to use temperature difference. As we all know, hot air rises, cold air sinks. So if we have a tank with a hot side and a cold side, the air's going to move, and plastic sheet over most of it in the center, air will move. How does this work? Okay. You have your heat source. Your hot air rises, a gap. This is your happy spider. Cold air sinks. Now, the amount of motion in here, sadly enough, does not achieve escape velocity from the Earth's orbit, okay? It's not rocket science. You just move it. You can take a fan. I did my last video on using gauges, staying informed, how to remove humidity from a tank. So, what does this actually look like? And this is one of the reasons why Mini-Me was sitting in the cabinet for quite a few hours to screw around with this and get it to work. As you can see, and we've seen this before, you have a screen with plastic sheeting on top of it to hold in humidity. We've seen this before. John 3800 does it, and he does. What we see here is the cold side. Air goes down here, travels across here, and comes out here. This is the actual little heat thing. It's very, very low. And air rises through here. Okay? And you can see people don't like to use gauges even though they hurt anybody. Lo and behold, we have 74 degrees on the cold side, 89% humidity, no mist condensation. Now in this tank, the top layer of cocoa fiber that I put in is barely misted there. You can see the other layers of substrate are, they have a lot more moisture in them. So this vermiculite is really wet, and that's a little bit wet, and that's a little bit moist, and that's a little bit dry. And I did this because I lost another spider, and I felt, Balfouri, I felt that mold that I didn't see might have played a role. I can't prove it. So, this stuff, cocoa fiber, feels nice, but it's spongy, and this other stuff drains well. And peat is really good at mold resistance. So I just did it that way. You don't need to, but, just to see how the cage works. Okay. So this is what it looks like. That's this happy spider. And, I figured I'd just share a little bit. In fact, it's up to 90. Okay. 74. And you can see it's perfectly clear. And if let's say we have too much humidity, well, you could take your plastic, okay, and you can just roll it back. It's taped, Oh, still too much humidity. You can take your plastic, roll it back. Oh crap, I put too much water in the dish. You can take your plastic, okay, and roll it back. And now we have an open top. We can add water, whatever you need to do, or try to photograph a spider through a screen. And this is a bonded screen. You can take you can't take a piece of thread and get it between the options here. So we'll put this back. Okay, and just put it back. And you can see, you can control your humidity. Clear plastic, clear tape. Now if you pull this pin and lift and move this, you can see the whole thing comes out. Okay, goes back in. Stick the pin in. It's a little stiff. Zoom in. It's not as good as the Reptilock system. And you can see that's how this enclosure works. It's very, very simple. Again, the actual air exchange, the actual volume of air that does this, it probably exchanges maybe every day. I'd be surprised if it was every day. It's probably every 2 or 3 days. But you're fine. Nice temperature. See, because, as you can see, it went down because I opened the plastic. You can see it dropped to 76. It's going back up. So, guys, I mean, I'm not accusing anybody of saying anything, but, use common sense. It's basic science. This is stuff that you learned in 2nd grade, okay? Anyway, so, hopefully, I stimulated some thought and, kind of, maybe help some people out, make you think a little bit. Anyway, this is White Lightning 777, out.